It was 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon in October when my phone rang, and the woman on the other end wasn't the daughter I raised. The late afternoon sun was streaming through my living room windows in my colonial-style home in Charleston, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. I just had refinished 3 months earlier for $4,200. I was sitting in my leather armchair, the one my late husband Robert bought me for our 40th anniversary, going through quarterly financial reports for the family business. The house smelled like the apple cinnamon candles I always kept burning in the fall. I picked up on the third ring. "Mom, I need to tell you something." Sarah's voice had that flat, rehearsed quality. No warmth, no hesitation, just cold. "What's wrong, honey?" My stomach was already tightening. A mother knows. "We moved. To Arizona. Last Tuesday. We're settling in now." The words didn't register at first. Last Tuesday. That was 8 days ago. 8 entire days. I felt the financial report slip from my fingers onto the floor, pages scattering across the Persian rug. "You... what? Arizona? When were you planning to tell me?" "I'm telling you now, aren't I?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "Look, Mom, we needed a fresh start. Away from all the pressure. The constant questions about what we're doing with our lives. We're adults. We don't need to report our every move to you." My throat went dry. The pressure? The questions? For 6 years, I'd been paying their rent. $1,800 a month for that beautiful 2-bedroom condo in the historic district. For 6 years, I'd covered the $12,000 annual tuition for both kids at Pinewood Academy. For 6 years, I'd been sending them $3,500 monthly for groceries, utilities, gas, everything they needed. "Sarah, I've been calling you for 3 days. You didn't answer. I thought something was wrong." "Well, we were busy, moving trucks, packing, you know how it is." No, I didn't know how it was. Because normal daughters tell their mothers when they're moving 1,200 miles away. But what she didn't know was that in 72 hours, I was going to discover something that would change everything. And the woman she thought was just the pushover grandmother with an open checkbook. She was about to meet someone very different. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you sacrificed everything for, drop a comment below. You're not alone. And hit that like button, because this story gets wild. Sarah Marie Henderson came into this world on March 15, 1976, at 6:32 in the morning at Charleston Medical Center. 7 pounds, 4 ounces of pure joy. Robert and I had been married for 3 years, and he was running the 3rd generation of Henderson & Sons Construction, the company his grandfather founded in 1928. I was working as the office manager, handling accounts payable, scheduling, everything that kept the business running, while Robert managed the crews and landed the big contracts. Do you remember the moment you first held your child? That overwhelming feeling that you'd do absolutely anything to protect them? That's what I felt that Tuesday morning when they placed Sarah in my arms. Her tiny fingers wrapped around my thumb, and I made a silent promise. I would give her every opportunity I never had. We lived modestly those first few years in a small ranch house on Maple Street. Robert would come home at 6:30 every evening, covered in sawdust and concrete dust, smelling like fresh-cut lumber and hard work. We'd have dinner together at 7, pot roast on Mondays, spaghetti on Wednesdays, fried chicken on Fridays. Sarah would sit in her high chair, banging her plastic spoon against the tray, and Robert would tell her about his day like she understood every word. I remember her 5th birthday party like it was yesterday, June 22, 1981. We rented the pavilion at Hampton Park for $75. I made a homemade strawberry cake with pink frosting, her favorite. We invited 23 kids from her kindergarten class. Robert set up a sprinkler in the shape of a turtle, and those children ran through that water for 3 hours straight, screaming and laughing. Sarah wore a yellow sundress with white daisies that I'd sewn myself, spending 4 evenings at my Singer sewing machine to get it perfect. When she blew out those 5 candles, she looked up at me and said, "Mommy, this is the best day of my whole life. How do you go from that to a daughter who moves away without telling you?" The business really took off in the late 80s. Robert landed a contract to build a new hospital wing, a $1.2 million project that put Henderson and Sons on the map. We moved to a bigger house in the historic district in 1989, a beautiful 4-bedroom Victorian with original crown molding and a wraparound porch. Sarah was 13. She got her own bathroom, painted lavender at her request. I spent 2 weekends helping her pick out the perfect shade, going to 4 different paint stores until we found Lilac Dreams at the Benjamin Moore dealer on King Street. We sent her to Bishop England High School, where tuition was $6,800 a year. She played soccer, took piano lessons every Thursday at 4 p.m. with Mrs. Eleanor Kensington for $45 per session, and was in the drama club. Every single one of her performances, Robert and I were in the front row. When she played Rizzo in Grease her senior year in 1994, I watched that show 3 times, opening night, Saturday matinee, and closing night. After the final curtain, I gave her a dozen red roses that cost $32 from Franklin's florist. College was next. Sarah wanted to go to the University of South Carolina. Out-of-state tuition for students from Charleston had just changed, and we were paying $14,000 a year, plus room and board, another $8,000. Then there were books, a laptop, spending money. Robert and I agreed. Our daughter would graduate debt-free. We'd both worked our way through community college, taking night classes while working full-time. We wanted better for Sarah. She met James Patrick Morrison in her sophomore year, November 1996. He was studying business administration, drove a beat-up Honda Civic, and came from a family in Colombia. When she brought him home for Thanksgiving that year, he seemed polite enough. Said yes, ma'am, and no, sir, in all the right places. Helped clear the table. Robert whispered to me in the kitchen, "He seems like a good kid." They got engaged her senior year. Small ceremony, just family and close friends at First Baptist Church on March 7, 2000. I paid for the wedding. $22,000, including the reception at the yacht club. Her dress from a bridal boutique on King Street that cost $1,800, flowers, photography, everything. Sarah looked radiant. The DJ played Unforgettable for their first dance. James twirled her around that dance floor, and I saw my baby girl as a woman starting her own family. Robert and I gave them $15,000 as a wedding gift to help with a down payment on a house. They used it as a deposit on an apartment instead. Said they wanted to rent for a while, get established. Fair enough. They were young. The grandchildren came next. Emma Grace was born April 3, 2002. 3 years later, on September 9, 2005, little Michael Robert arrived. I was there for both births, holding Sarah's hand through every contraction, cutting the cord with the doctor's permission, being the first to hold each baby after Sarah. Those moments? Pure magic. Here's what people don't understand about being a grandparent when you have means. You want to help. You want to make their lives easier. When James lost his job at the marketing firm in 2008 during the recession, I didn't hesitate. I paid their rent for 6 months, $1,100 a month back then, until he found something new. When Emma needed braces in 2014, $5,800, I wrote the check to Dr. Patterson's orthodontic office without blinking. Robert passed away suddenly on January 19, 2016. Heart attack in his sleep. He was 71. The man who built our life, our business, our family legacy, gone in an instant. The funeral was on a freezing Saturday morning. 240 people came to pay their respects. Sarah gave a eulogy that had everyone in tears, talking about what an amazing father he'd been. At the reception afterward at our house, she held my hand and said, "Mom, I don't know how you're going to manage without him. Let me help you with the business." That's when everything shifted. Robert had left everything to me. The company, our house, our investments, 3 rental properties, life insurance policy worth $800,000, retirement accounts totaling just over $1 million. His will was crystal clear, written with our attorney Marcus Freeman in 2012. To my beloved wife Helen, who built this business alongside me, I leave everything, trusting her wisdom and capability to manage our legacy. I stepped into the role of CEO of Henderson & Sons Construction, We had 18 employees at that point, contracts worth $3.2 million annually, and a reputation spanning 3 generations. I wasn't just the widow. I was the boss. I'd been managing the books for 40 years. I knew every client, every subcontractor, every cent that flowed through that company. Sarah started asking questions. "Mom, do you really think you can handle all this stress at your age? Maybe James and I should take over the day-to-day operations. We're younger, more energetic." She was 40 at the time. I was 63. "At your age," she'd said, like I was ancient. Like I hadn't been running the financial side of a multi-million-dollar company for 4 decades. I told her I was fine, that I had it under control, that Marcus, our attorney, and Patricia Wells, our CPA, both agreed I was fully capable. But I wanted to help my daughter and her family, so I made an offer. I owned a beautiful condo in the historic district that we'd been renting out for years. The tenants had just moved out. Instead of finding new renters, I'd let Sarah and James live there. Rent-free. They moved in July 1st, 2017. A 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo with exposed brick, original hardwood floors, a gourmet kitchen with granite countertops, 10-foot ceilings, and a view of the church steeples. Market rent was $1,800 a month. I was giving them $21,600 a year in free housing. But it didn't stop there. The kids were in public school, and Sarah said they were being bullied, falling behind. Could I help with private school? Pinewood Academy accepted both kids for the 2017-2018 school year. Total tuition for both, $12,000 annually. I paid it. Then there were the monthly expenses. "Mom, James's job just doesn't cover everything. Could you help us out with groceries and utilities?" I set up an automatic transfer. $3,500 deposited into their account on the 1st of every month. $42,000 a year. Added up, free rent valued at $21,600, private school tuition of $12,000, monthly allowance of $42,000. I was giving them $75,600 every single year. After taxes, that's like earning over $100,000 in salary. For 6 years, I did this. Never missed a payment. Never complained. Never asked for anything in return except to see my grandchildren and have Sunday dinners together. Sunday dinners. That was our tradition. Every Sunday at 1 p.m., they'd come to my house. I'd cook a pot roast or baked chicken, make Emma's favorite macaroni and cheese from scratch, bake Michael's beloved chocolate chip cookies. We'd eat at the dining room table Robert built with his own hands in 1973. We'd talk about their week, the kids' activities, plans for the future. On July 9th, 2023, Sarah and James came to Sunday dinner. It was 92 degrees outside, humid as a steam room. I'd made cold fried chicken, potato salad, and sweet tea. The kids were at summer camp that week, sports camp at the YMCA that I paid $400 for each child to attend. "Mom, this chicken is amazing as always," James said, reaching for a second piece. "Glad you like it, sweetheart." I refilled his tea glass. "How's work going?" "Oh, same old stuff." He worked as a sales associate at a furniture store, had for 3 years, made about $38,000 a year plus commission. Sarah was scrolling through her phone at the table. I let it go. "Pick your battles, right?" "Emma's doing so well at camp," I said. "The counselor called me yesterday. Apparently she's a natural at volleyball." Sarah looked up. "The counselor called you? Why didn't they call me?" "Well, honey, I'm listed as the emergency contact since I paid for the camp registration." She put her phone down, and something flickered across her face. Annoyance? Resentment? It was there and gone so fast I thought I'd imagined it. That was the last Sunday dinner we had. The last time they set foot in my house as a family that I knew. 3 weeks later, I called Sarah on a Thursday afternoon. No answer. I called again Friday. Voicemail. Saturday, straight to voicemail. Sunday came and went. No show for dinner. I had a whole pot roast sitting in the oven, slowly drying out as the hours passed. Monday morning, I drove to the condo. My condo, the one I owned outright. I knocked on the door. No answer. I used my key, it's my property after all, and walked into an empty apartment. Not just empty like they'd gone on vacation. Empty like they'd moved out. Completely cleared out. The furniture was gone. The beds, the TV, Emma's bookshelf that I'd bought at an estate sale, and refinished myself, everything. The only things left were hangers on the floor, trash in the kitchen can, and a lingering smell of cleaning products. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and called Sarah. This time, she answered on the first ring. That's when she told me they'd moved to Arizona 8 days earlier. But what I didn't know, what I couldn't have known standing in that empty condo with my heart hammering against my ribs and tears starting to blur my vision, was that this wasn't just a move. It was a calculated betrayal, months in the planning. And the worst was still ahead of me. Looking back now, the signs were everywhere. Glaring, obvious, screaming at me to pay attention. But when you love someone, when you've raised them from birth, you find ways to explain away the red flags. You tell yourself stories that make the disrespect somehow acceptable. That's what I did for almost 2 years before that phone call. And those 2 years cost me dearly. The first incident I can pinpoint happened on November 12th, 2021, a Saturday afternoon. I'd invited Sarah and the family to go shopping with me for Emma's 13th birthday present. We met at the town center mall at 2 p.m. I was excited. Grandmother and granddaughter bonding time, right? Emma wanted to look at clothes at Forever 21. We were standing in the juniors section, Emma holding up a sequined top against her chest, looking in the mirror. I smiled at her. That's beautiful, sweetheart. Very sparkly. Do you like it? Before Emma could answer, Sarah cut in. Mom, she's not asking your opinion. You have no idea what 13-year-olds wear these days. Your fashion sense stopped in like 1985. The words hit like a slap. I felt my cheeks flush hot. 2 other shoppers nearby glanced over. I laughed it off. What else could I do? Well, I suppose you're right. I'm a bit out of touch. Sarah didn't even look at me, just scrolled through her phone. Emma, get whatever you want. Grandma's paying anyway. That last part stung. Not because it wasn't true. I was planning to pay. But the way she said it, like that's all I was good for. A wallet. I bought Emma 3 outfits that day. Total, $167. Driving home alone afterward, I kept replaying Sarah's words. I told myself she was just stressed. James had been complaining about his boss lately. Money was probably tight, even with my help. She didn't mean to be cruel. Did I confront her? No. I made excuses for her instead. Have you ever done that? Loved someone so much you explained away their cruelty? The second incident was worse. February 14th, 2022. Valentine's Day. I'd made reservations at Magnolia's, one of Charleston's finest restaurants, for the 6 of us. Me, Sarah, James, and the 2 kids. 7 p.m. reservation. I wore my navy dress, the one Robert always said made my eyes look bright. I got there 15 minutes early and waited at the table. 7:15 came and went. No Sarah. I texted, I'm here at the table. Did you get held up? 7:30. The waiter came by for the 3rd time. Ma'am, would you like to order some appetizers while you wait? No, thank you. They'll be here any moment. My voice sounded more confident than I felt. 7:45. I called Sarah. She answered on the 5th ring. I could hear restaurant noise in the background, clinking glasses, conversation, laughter. Sarah? Where are you? I'm still at Magnolia's. Oh, crap. Mom, I totally forgot. James surprised me with reservations at Peninsula Grill. We're here with the kids. It's really fancy. They have this amazing chocolate cake. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, watching couples around me share romantic dinners. But I made these reservations 3 weeks ago. I confirmed with you last Sunday. Look, Mom, I can't hear you super well. It's loud here. We'll catch up next week, okay? Love you. Click. She hung up, just like that. I sat at that table alone for another 10 minutes. The waiter eventually came over, his expression sympathetic. Ma'am, would you like to order something for yourself? No, thank you. There's been a change of plans. I left an $80 tip even though I hadn't ordered anything. I didn't want him to think I was cheap. Isn't that absurd? I was humiliated. and I was worried about what the waiter thought of me. Peninsula Grill, by the way, is expensive. Entrees start at $48. For 4 people, dinner would have cost at least $250. Money that came from the monthly $3,500 I was giving them. My best friend, Carol Ann Peterson, called me that night around 9:30. "Helen, how was dinner with the family?" I told her what happened. There was a long silence on the other end. "Helen Marie, you need to stop letting that girl walk all over you." She didn't mean to. James surprised her. It was romantic. She forgot? You confirmed with her 1 week ago. Nobody forgets that. She chose not to come. There's a difference. I changed the subject. I didn't want to hear it. Not from Carol Ann, not from anyone. But Carol Ann was right. I just wasn't ready to accept it yet. The third incident happened on my 66th birthday, May 23rd, 2022. A Monday. Nothing fancy planned. I wasn't expecting a big celebration. But I thought maybe Sarah would call, come by, acknowledge it somehow. Robert had always made my birthdays special. Breakfast in bed, fresh-cut flowers, a handwritten card. He'd been gone 6 years by then, and birthdays felt hollow without him. 8 a.m. came and went. No call. I told myself she was getting the kids ready for school. She'd call later. Noon arrived. I made myself a sandwich, checked my phone. Nothing. 6 p.m. I was sitting on my porch, watching the sun start to set, when my phone finally rang. Sarah's name lit up the screen. Relief washed over me. "Hi, honey." "Mom, hey, quick question. Can you Venmo me like $200? We're at Target and my card got declined. It's so embarrassing. There's a line of people behind me." My heart sank. "Sarah, do you know what today is?" Monday? "It's my birthday." Silence. Then, "Oh my God. Mom, I'm so sorry. Happy birthday. We've just been so busy. Michael has a science project due tomorrow, and Emma's going through this whole friend drama thing." It totally slipped my mind. Totally slipped her mind. The day she was born. The day I spent 14 hours in labor bringing her into this world. The day I became a mother. "Can you still send the money, though? The cashier is staring at me." I sent it. $300, not $200, because that's what I did. I sent the money and swallowed the hurt. That evening, I got a text. "Thanks for the money, and happy birthday again. We'll take you out to dinner soon to celebrate." Soon never came. My attorney, Marcus Freeman, stopped by my house a week later to drop off some business documents. Marcus had been Robert's best friend since college, handled all our legal work for 40 years. He was 71, sharp as ever, with steel gray hair and glasses that always sat crooked on his nose. We were having coffee in my kitchen when he asked, "How's Sarah doing?" I told him fine. Great, actually. The kids were thriving. "Helen, I'm going to say something, and I want you to hear me out." He set down his coffee mug. "I've known you since 1973. Robert and I watched Sarah grow up, and I'm worried about what I'm seeing." "What do you mean?" "You're giving them over $75,000 a year in direct support. That's not including birthday gifts, emergency expenses, extras. Do they express gratitude? Do they show appreciation? They're family, Marcus. I don't need gratitude. Everyone needs gratitude, even from family. Especially from family." He pulled out a folder. I ran some numbers. In the last 5 years, you've given them approximately $378,000 in total support. That's a significant portion of your assets. $378,000. Hearing it said out loud made my stomach turn. If something happened to you tomorrow, Sarah would inherit everything through your will. The business, the properties, investments. She knows that. But Helen, she should be treating you like you're precious now, not like you're a resource to be managed. I thanked him for his concern, told him I had it under control, but his words stayed with me. The fourth incident was on July 4th weekend, 2022, Independence Day. I'd planned a big cookout at my house, burgers, hot dogs, my famous potato salad, watermelon, the works. I invited Sarah and her family, Carol Ann and her husband Dennis, My neighbors, the Johnsons, about 15 people total. I spent 2 days preparing, bought $140 worth of food and supplies. Everyone arrived around noon, except Sarah. I called her at 12:30. "Hey, Mom. Yeah, we're not going to make it. We got invited to James's boss's boat party. It's kind of a big deal. Could be good for his career, you know?" I looked out my kitchen window at the people gathered in my backyard, people who'd shown up. "Sarah, I told you about this cookout 3 weeks ago. I bought all this food." "I know, but this is important, for James's job. You understand, right?" What was I supposed to say? No, I don't understand. That your grandmother's holiday cookout is less important than networking? Of course. Have fun. You're the best. Oh, and can you watch the kids next Saturday? We want to have a date night. They didn't come to my cookout, but they wanted me to babysit 6 days later. I said yes, of course. And the following Saturday, July 9th, I watched Emma and Michael from 6 p.m. until midnight. When Sarah and James finally picked them up, they smelled like expensive wine, and James was laughing about the $100 steaks they'd had at Hall's Chop House. $100 steaks. Bought with money I gave them, while I sat at home with their children, having made them boxed macaroni and cheese for dinner. The 5th incident happened in September 2022. Michael had a soccer game on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. I hadn't seen the kids in 2 weeks. Sarah kept saying they were busy with school activities. So when Michael called me himself and invited me to his game, I was thrilled. I got there at 9:45, 15 minutes early. Set up my folding chair on the sideline, brought orange slices and juice boxes for the team like I always did. The game started at 10. Michael was playing midfielder. I cheered every time he touched the ball. Halftime came. I looked around for Sarah and James. Didn't see them anywhere. I walked over to Michael during the break. "Sweetheart, where are your mom and dad?" He shrugged. "Dad's at home. Mom went to get her nails done. She said you were coming, so they didn't need to." My heart cracked. They didn't come to their own son's game because they knew I'd be there. I was the free babysitter, the automatic backup. After the game, which his team won 3-2, and Michael scored a goal, I took him out for ice cream at Lily's. 2 scoops of chocolate chip cookie dough for him, 1 scoop of butter pecan for me. Total, $8.50. "Grandma, thanks for coming to my game. It's more fun when you're there. I wouldn't miss it for the world, baby. Mom says you have a lot of money and that's why you can do nice things for us." I nearly dropped my ice cream cone. "She said that?" "Yeah. She says when you die, we'll have all the money and can do whatever we want." He said it so casually, like he was talking about the weather. Because to him, it was just a fact his mother had told him. He didn't understand the weight of those words, the coldness of them. When you die, we'll have all the money. I drove home that afternoon with tears streaming down my face. Had to pull over twice because I couldn't see the road clearly. The 6th incident was in December 2022, Christmas shopping season. I'd asked Sarah what Emma and Michael wanted for Christmas. She sent me a text message, not even a phone call, with Amazon links. A PlayStation 5 for Michael, $549. A new iPhone for Emma, $899. Plus AirPods for $149, a smartwatch for $279, and a list of clothes and accessories totaling another $400. I responded, "That's quite an expensive list. Maybe we could scale back a bit." Her reply, "Mom, these are the things they want. If you can't afford it, just say so. We'll figure something else out. If I can't afford it." I was giving them $75,000 a year, and she was questioning if I could afford Christmas presents. I bought everything on the list, spent just over $2,300 on Christmas gifts for my grandchildren, plus another $800 on gifts for Sarah and James. Christmas morning, they opened presents at their condo. I wasn't invited to be there Christmas morning. That was family time, Sarah said. I was invited for dinner at 2 p.m. I showed up with a homemade pecan pie and a green bean casserole. When I walked in, wrapping paper was everywhere. Emma was already on her new iPhone. Michael was setting up his PlayStation. "Did you like your gifts?" I asked. Emma looked up briefly. "Yeah, thanks, Grandma." Michael didn't even look up from the TV screen. Sarah was in the kitchen. I joined her. The kids seem happy with their presents. Yeah, well, you went a bit overboard. Now they're going to expect this every year. She said it like I'd done something wrong. Like being generous with my grandchildren was a character flaw. I stayed for dinner. We ate the ham I'd paid for, another $68 from the honey-baked ham company, made small talk, left by 6 p.m. because it was clear nobody really wanted me there. The kids were absorbed in their devices. James was watching football. Sarah was texting someone, laughing at her phone screen. Driving home that night, past houses lit up with Christmas lights and families visible through windows, I felt more alone than I had since Robert died. The 7th incident was the final straw before they moved. March 19th, 2023. A Sunday. We'd resumed Sunday dinners by then, or rather, I kept inviting them and they occasionally showed up. This particular Sunday, they came for dinner. I'd made roasted chicken with herbs, garlic mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, and a salad. Spent the morning cooking. Set the table with my good china, the set Robert and I got as a wedding gift. Halfway through dinner, James's phone rang. He answered it at the table. Yeah? Hey man, no way, that's awesome. Count me in. He stood up, phone to his ear, walking toward the living room. Sarah was typing on her phone. The kids were arguing about something that happened at school. Sarah, honey, could you put the phone down during dinner? I tried to keep my voice light. She looked up, eyes hard. Mom, I'm dealing with something important. More important than family dinner? Actually, yes. I'm in a group chat with other moms planning the school fundraiser. Some of us have responsibilities beyond cooking pot roast and waiting around for our families to entertain us. The room went silent. Emma and Michael stopped arguing. James was still in the other room, but his voice had gone quiet. I felt like I'd been punched. Excuse me? You heard me. Not all of us have the luxury of being retired with nothing to do but cook elaborate meals and try to buy people's affection. My hands were shaking, literally trembling. I'm not trying to buy anyone's affection. I'm trying to have a relationship with my family. A relationship requires two people, Mom. You can't just throw money at us and expect us to perform for you every Sunday. She stood up. James, we're leaving. They left, all 4 of them. Walked out of my house at 4:37 p.m. on March 19th, leaving half-eaten plates of food on my dining room table. The table Robert built, the good china still out, the chicken I'd spent hours preparing. I sat there alone for I don't know how long. The food got cold, the sun set. The house got dark around me, and I didn't even get up to turn on the lights. Carol Ann showed up at 8 p.m. I'd texted her after they left, just 3 words, I need you. She found me still sitting at the dining table in the dark. Sat down next to me without saying a word, just held my hand. I've made excuses for her for too long, I finally said. Yeah, you have. What do I do? You set boundaries. You stop letting her treat you like an ATM machine with a pulse. But I didn't set boundaries. Not yet. Because 2 weeks later, Sarah called crying. Emma was having trouble in school, getting bullied, her grades dropping. Could I please help pay for a tutor? It was $250 per session, twice a week. I said yes, because she's my daughter, because Emma's my granddaughter, because I kept hoping that if I just loved them enough, helped them enough, they'd remember who I was, who we were. I paid for the tutor. 13 sessions at $250 each, $3,250 total. What I didn't know was that while I was paying for Emma's tutor, Sarah and James were already planning their move to Arizona, already looking at houses online, already researching school districts for the kids. They were planning to leave me, and they were using my money to do it. But here's what they forgot. I wasn't just a lonely widow with a checkbook. I was a businesswoman who'd been managing money, contracts, and legal documents for 47 years, and I was about to remind them exactly who they were dealing with. The phone call came on October 17th, 2023, at exactly 3:47 p.m. I already told you about that call. Sarah's flat voice telling me they'd moved to Arizona 8 days earlier. But what I didn't tell you was what happened after I hung up. I stood in that empty condo, my condo, and the silence was deafening. No kids' laughter, no TV noise, no life, just emptiness and the smell of pine sol. My legs felt weak. I sat down right there on the floor, on the hardwood I'd had refinished for $4,200 2 years earlier, and I let myself feel it. The abandonment, the betrayal, the absolute crushing weight of being discarded by your own child. How long did I sit there? 20 minutes? An hour? I don't know. The light changed from afternoon sun to early evening shadows. My phone rang twice. I didn't answer. It was Carol Ann both times, I saw later. When I finally stood up, my knees cracked. I was 66 years old, and I'd just been thrown away like garbage. That's what it felt like I'd been used up and tossed aside. I walked through the empty rooms. The master bedroom where Sarah and James slept. Gone. Emma's room with the purple walls she'd begged me to paint in 2019. I'd paid a contractor $320 to do it. Empty. Michael's room with the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling that I'd stuck up there one Saturday afternoon while he directed me from his bed. "More to the left, Grandma. Make the Big Dipper." Nothing. Just stick-on star residue on a blank ceiling. The bathroom still had a ring around the tub. Dirty. They hadn't even cleaned before they left. I opened the cabinet under the sink, and that's when I saw the first real evidence of their contempt. Garbage. They'd left garbage shoved under there. Empty shampoo bottles, used toilet paper rolls, cotton swabs. But underneath that, I found something that made my breath catch. A stack of unopened mail. My mail. Forwarded to this address because it was my business headquarters for tax purposes. I pulled it out. 17 pieces of mail, some dating back 3 months. Bank statements, investment notices, legal correspondence. They just shoved it under the bathroom sink like it was trash. My hands shook as I sorted through it. Nothing critical, thank God. I handled most business electronically. But the disrespect of it, the carelessness. This was my financial life, and they'd literally hidden it under a bathroom sink with garbage. I kept looking. The kitchen was worse. They'd left food in the refrigerator, milk expired by 2 weeks, moldy cheese, rotting vegetables in the crisper drawer. The smell when I opened it made me gag. I had to step back, put my hand over my nose and mouth. How long had this food been sitting here while they were already in Arizona? The garbage can was overflowing. I pulled out the bag to throw it away, and underneath, at the bottom of the can, I found it. My blanket. The blanket I'd crocheted for Emma when she was born. Sea green and white, with little shell patterns. I'd spent 4 months making it, working on it every evening while Robert watched the news. Every single stitch made with love, with dreams of my granddaughter wrapped up warm and safe. I'd given it to Sarah at the hospital on April 3rd, 2002, the day Emma was born, and they'd thrown it in the trash. It was stained with something dark. Coffee maybe, or mud. One corner was torn. It smelled like spoiled food because it had been sitting under trash for who knows how long. I pulled that blanket out and held it against my chest, and I sobbed. Standing in that kitchen that smelled like rotten milk and broken promises, I cried harder than I'd cried since Robert's funeral. My whole body shook with it. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and primal, the kind that leaves you gasping for air. Have you ever loved someone so completely that their cruelty actually breaks something inside you? That's what this felt like. Something breaking. I took the blanket home, washed it 3 times in hot water with detergent and fabric softener. The stains didn't come out completely, but I kept it anyway. It's in my linen closet right now. I can't bear to throw it away, even though looking at it still hurts. But that wasn't even the worst of what I found that day. I went back the next morning, October 18th, with cleaning supplies. If I was going to rent the condo out again, I needed it clean. I brought my bucket, rubber gloves, bleach, Murphy's oil soap, everything. The walls. Oh God, the walls. In Michael's room, there were holes punched in the drywall. 4 of them. Fist-sized, like someone had just hauled off and punched through. The plaster was crumbling, exposed wood studs visible. I stood there staring at them. When did this happen? Why? Had Michael done it in a rage? Had James? And why hadn't they told me? Why hadn't they said, "Mom, we had an accident, we need to fix the wall"? Because they knew they were leaving. They knew I'd find it eventually, and they didn't care. In the living room, someone had carved something into the windowsill. I had to get close to read it. Initials, JM plus SM, inside a heart. James and Sarah Morrison. Carved into my 100-year-old original wood windowsill like they were teenagers. The wood was gouged deep, ruined. The carpet in the hallway was destroyed. A huge stain, dark, spreading, set deep into the fibers. I got down on my knees and touched it. Dry but crusty. Wine, maybe? It covered about 3 square feet. Professional carpet cleaning wouldn't fix this. It would need to be replaced. The whole hallway, probably 600 square feet. At $4 per square foot, that's $2,400 just for the carpet. I made a list as I walked through. Damage assessment. 4 holes in bedroom wall. $800 to repair and repaint. Carved windowsill, original wood, irreplaceable, devalued the property. Carpet replacement, $2,400. Deep scratches on hardwood in master bedroom, $400 to sand and refinish. Broken cabinet door in kitchen, $120. Cracked tile in bathroom, $200. Missing light fixtures in 2 rooms, $180. Total damages, $4,600. Not including the cost to haul away all the garbage they'd left, clean the appliances, or my time and heartbreak. I sat down on the floor again, seemed like all I could do was sit on floors lately, and called Marcus Freeman. "Marcus, I need you to document something." I sent him photos of everything, every hole, every stain, every piece of damage. He told me to get written estimates from contractors. I did. 3 different contractors over the next week. The estimates ranged from $4,100 to $5,300. But here's the thing that kept gnawing at me. Why? Why trash the place? If they wanted to leave, fine. If they didn't want a relationship with me anymore, okay. It would destroy me, but okay. But why destroy my property? Why leave it like a crime scene? The answer came from an unexpected source. On October 23rd, 6 days after the phone call, the neighbor from the condo below mine knocked on my door. Her name was Patricia Morales, a nice woman in her 50s who taught kindergarten. I'd met her a handful of times over the years when I'd stopped by to drop things off for Sarah. "Mrs. Henderson, I'm so sorry to bother you. I saw you've been here cleaning. Did your daughter and her family move out?" "Yes, they moved to Arizona." "Oh," she looked uncomfortable. "I was wondering, are you aware of the party they had?" My stomach dropped. "What party?" "About 2 weeks ago. Maybe the 10th or 11th? It was a Friday night. It went until 3 in the morning. Very loud music, lots of people, lots of drinking. I called and asked them to quiet down around midnight, but they just laughed. October 10th or 11th. They'd already planned the move. They were days away from leaving, and they threw a party. There was some damage," Patricia continued. "Someone threw a bottle off the balcony. It shattered in the courtyard. And there was vomit in the hallway outside your unit the next morning. I cleaned it up myself because it was there for 2 days, and the smell was awful. Vomit in the hallway. A party until 3 a.m. while they were preparing to abandon me. Mrs. Morales, why didn't you call me? I thought you knew. I thought you'd approved it. Your daughter said it was a going-away party and that you were paying for everything." She looked genuinely confused. "She made it sound like you were very generous. I was paying for everything. The condo they partied in, the utilities that powered their music, the security deposit they'd never paid. I was paying for them to trash my property and disrespect the neighbors before skipping town." "I'm sorry," Patricia said. "I can see you didn't know. They seemed like such a nice family. Your daughter was always so friendly." After she left, I went back inside and screamed. Actually screamed. Stood in that empty living room and let out everything I'd been holding in. Rage and grief and betrayal, all mixed together in a sound I didn't even know I could make. Then I did what I should have done weeks ago. I called Sarah. She answered cheerful as anything. "Hey, Mom, how are you? We're settling in great here. The weather is amazing." "I'm standing in your condo, the one you left looking like a war zone." Silence. "Sarah, there are holes punched in the walls. The carpet is destroyed. You left rotting food in the refrigerator. You threw my blanket, Emma's baby blanket that I made with my own hands, in the trash like it was garbage. Mom, we were in a hurry. The movers were rushing us. You had months to plan this move. Your neighbor told me about the party. Did you really throw a party in my condo 2 weeks before you left?" "It was just a few friends, a small gathering." She said it went until 3 in the morning. Someone threw a bottle off the balcony. "Look, things got a little out of hand, but what, Sarah? But it doesn't matter because it's my property? Because I'll just fix it? Because Grandma will handle it like she handles everything?" Her tone changed, got cold. "You know what, Mom? We're not having this conversation. We moved. We're starting a new life. If you can't be happy for us, that's your problem." "Happy for you? You abandoned me without warning, left my property destroyed, and threw away family heirlooms. What exactly should I be happy about?" "We didn't abandon you. Stop being so dramatic. You act like we owe you something just because you helped us out over the years." Helped them out. $75,000 a year for 6 years. $450,000 total. And she called it helping out. "I gave you everything, Sarah." "No, Mom. You gave us money. There's a difference. You can't buy a relationship. And honestly, the constant expectations were suffocating. This move is the best thing that ever happened to us. We can finally breathe without you hovering over us all the time." Hovering. I was hovering by wanting to see my grandchildren on Sundays, by going to their soccer games, by being present in their lives. "When can I talk to Emma and Michael? They're busy settling into their new school. Maybe in a few weeks when things calm down." "Sarah, they're my grandchildren. And they're my children. I decide when they talk to you. Maybe you should have thought about that before you started attacking me about some stupid carpet stains." She hung up, just ended the call. I stood there with my phone in my hand, and I realized something. This wasn't going to get better. This wasn't a phase or a mistake or a misunderstanding. This was who my daughter had become. Someone who could take everything from me and feel entitled to it. Someone who could discard me when I was no longer useful. But right then, standing in that trashed condo on October 23rd at 2:17 p.m., I didn't know what to do about it. I just knew I was broken. I thought about Robert, closed my eyes and tried to imagine what he'd say. He'd loved Sarah so much, spoiled her, if I'm honest. She was his little girl. But Robert also believed in accountability. He ran a construction business on handshakes and kept promises. His word was gold. What would he think seeing his daughter like this? I remembered Sarah's wedding day, Robert walking her down the aisle, crying, actually crying. My tough construction worker husband with tears streaming down his face. He whispered something to her before he gave her away to James. I'd asked him later what he said. "I told her she'll always be my baby girl, but she's a woman now, and women of character keep their word, honor their family, and never forget where they came from." Sarah had smiled at him, kissed his cheek, promised she'd remember. She'd forgotten. The contrast was too painful. I had to stop thinking about it, or I'd collapse right there. Over the next 2 weeks, I tried calling Emma and Michael directly. Their phones went straight to voicemail. I texted, nothing. I sent them messages on the apps they used, the ones I'd paid for, the devices I'd bought them. Red receipts showed they'd seen my messages. They just didn't respond. On November 4th, I tried a different approach. I mailed them cards. Old-fashioned greeting cards with handwritten notes inside. For Emma, I wrote about the time we baked cookies together for her school bake sale in 4th grade, how she'd gotten flour everywhere and we'd laughed so hard. For Michael, I wrote about teaching him to ride his bike without training wheels in Hampton Park, how proud I was when he finally got it on his 7th try. I included $20 bills in each card, not to buy their love, though I knew how it looked. just so they'd have something from Grandma, so they'd know I was thinking of them. The cards came back. Return to sender, not at this address. They'd given the post office instructions to return my mail. November 8th. I called Sarah one more time. You need to stop calling, she said immediately. No hello, no how are you. I just want to talk to my grandchildren. They don't want to talk to you right now, Mom. You're toxic. Always making everything about you. Always making us feel guilty. The therapist we're seeing says we need boundaries. You're seeing a therapist? Yes, about our trauma from having a narcissistic mother. The word hit like a bullet. Narcissistic. Me. The woman who'd given up her own dreams to raise her, who'd sacrificed hundreds of thousands of dollars to support her, who'd loved her unconditionally for 47 years. I'm not narcissistic, Sarah. I'm heartbroken. That's exactly what a narcissist would say. Look, I have to go. Please stop calling. If you can't respect our boundaries, we'll have to go no contact completely. Wait. She hung up. I sat with that word for days. Narcissistic. I looked it up. Read articles about narcissistic mothers. The descriptions didn't match me. Controlling, self-absorbed, incapable of empathy, using children for personal gain. That wasn't me. Was it? I called Carol Ann in tears. Am I narcissistic? Helen Marie, you're the least narcissistic person I know. You've spent your whole life putting others first. Your daughter is rewriting history to justify her behavior. Don't you dare believe her lies. But the doubt crept in anyway. At night, lying in bed, I'd replay conversations. Had I been too pushy? Too demanding? Was wanting to see my grandchildren on Sundays really hovering? Was paying for their lives really manipulative? November 15th. My credit card was charged $873 from an Apple store in Phoenix, Arizona. I didn't make that purchase. I called the credit card company. Ma'am, this card ending in 4782, do you have that in your possession? I checked my wallet. Yes. My card was right there. Then someone has your card number. Do you know anyone in Phoenix? My daughter. Sarah had my credit card information because I'd used it to pay for things for the kids before. She had it saved in her phone for emergencies. Apparently, a new iPad and accessories counted as an emergency. I disputed the charge. The credit card company flagged it as fraud. They'd investigate. But here's what got me. Sarah didn't even ask. Just used my card like it was hers. Like my money was her money. When I called to confront her, it went straight to voicemail. I left a message. Sarah, you charged $873 to my credit card without asking. That's theft. Call me back immediately. She texted back 3 hours later. Calm down. Michael needed a tablet for school. I'll pay you back. She never did. November 21st. The bank called me. This is the moment everything changed. Mrs. Henderson, this is David Chen from Security and Fraud Prevention at First National. We've flagged some unusual activity on your account and need to verify it with you. My heart started pounding. What kind of activity? There's a loan application submitted in your name for $70,000, a home equity line of credit against your primary residence. Did you initiate this application? No, absolutely not. The application was submitted online from an IP address in Phoenix, Arizona. Do you know anyone in that area? Phoenix, Arizona, where Sarah and James lived now. What information would someone need to apply for this loan? Social security number, address, employment history, and they'd need to digitally sign the documents. Could they forge the signature? It happens. That's why we verify large applications with phone calls. The signature on file doesn't quite match your signature from previous documents. That's what triggered our alert. We're denying this application and flagging it as potential fraud. $70,000. They'd tried to take out a $70,000 loan against my house. The house Robert and I bought in 1989. The house where I raised Sarah, where she learned to walk, had birthday parties, brought home her first boyfriend. And she tried to steal from it. Mrs. Henderson, I need to ask, do you suspect who might have done this? I couldn't say it out loud. Not yet. I need to speak with my attorney. I called Marcus before the bank even hung up. He answered on the first ring like he knew something was wrong. Marcus, my daughter just tried to commit fraud against me. $70,000. There was a long pause. Tell me everything. I told him. All of it. The move without notice. The destroyed condo. The returned mail. The credit card charges. And now this. Attempted loan fraud. When I finished, Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, Helen, I need you to listen to me very carefully. What Sarah has done crosses from being a bad daughter into criminal territory. We need to protect you legally and financially, starting right now. Today, can you come to my office? When? Right now. I'm clearing my afternoon. This can't wait. I drove to Marcus's office in a daze. The world looked different somehow, sharper, colder. I kept thinking about Sarah as a little girl, 5 years old in that yellow dress at her birthday party, 13 in her lavender room, 24 in her wedding dress. Where did that girl go? When did she become someone who could do this to her own mother? Marcus had documents spread across his conference table when I arrived. He'd been busy in the 20 minutes since we'd talked. Sit down, Helen. We have work to do. He pulled out a notepad. I need you to tell me every financial connection you have to Sarah and James. Every account they have access to, every automatic payment, every piece of property in your name that they use. Everything. I made a list. Monthly automatic transfer of $3,500 to their joint account. The condo they'd vacated, still in my name. The 2019 Toyota Highlander they drove, financed in my name, $542 monthly payment, 31 months remaining. 2 credit cards where Sarah was an authorized user. Life insurance policy where Sarah was the beneficiary, $800,000. My will leaving everything to Sarah as sole heir. Access to my business. Accounts for emergencies. Joint signatory on one checking account from years ago when I'd thought teaching her financial responsibility meant giving her access. Marcus's expression got darker with every item. Helen, your daughter has keys to your entire financial kingdom. If she wanted to destroy you, she could. And based on this loan application, I think she's already trying. She wouldn't. She already did. The question isn't, would she? It's how much has she already taken that we don't know about, and how do we stop her from taking more? He pulled out his laptop. We're going to fix this, all of it, today. But Helen, you need to make a decision right now. Are you ready to fight back? Because what I'm about to recommend will end your relationship with your daughter. Maybe permanently. I thought about the blanket in the trash, the holes in the walls, the narcissistic mother comment, the grandchildren who wouldn't take my calls, the $70,000 theft attempt. What relationship, Marcus? It's already over. She ended it. I'm just accepting reality. Okay then. He pulled out a folder. Let's go to war. And that's when I discovered something that would change everything. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't just the heartbroken mother. I was Helen Marie Henderson, CEO of a multi-million-dollar construction company, owner of multiple properties, and a woman who'd been managing complex finances and legal contracts for 47 years. My daughter had forgotten who raised her. She'd forgotten who taught her everything she knew. She'd forgotten that the sweet grandmother who made pot roast and sent monthly checks was also a businesswoman who'd built an empire alongside her husband. She was about to remember. Marcus opened his laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet. First, let's see exactly how much money has flowed to Sarah over the years. I've been tracking it as your attorney, but I don't think you've ever seen it laid out like this. He turned the screen toward me. Rows and rows of numbers, dates, amounts, categories. From 2017, when they moved into your condo, through today, November 21st, 2023, 6 years and 4 months, here's what you've given them. He scrolled down. I watched the numbers blur past. Free rent, valued at market rate of $1,800 per month for 76 months, $136,800. Private school tuition for both children, 6 years, $72,000. Monthly allowance, $3,500 per month for 76 months, $266,000. Add in birthday gifts, Christmas presents, Emergency expenses, medical bills you covered, car repairs, summer camps, tutoring, vacations you funded. The total comes to $547,200. I stopped breathing. $547,000. That's not including the $15,000 wedding gift or anything you gave them before 2017. Helen, you've essentially given your daughter over $500,000 in 6 years. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the table. But here's the interesting part, Marcus continued. Legally, most of that is considered gifts. However, there are 3 things that aren't gifts. The condo, that's your property that they damaged. The car, that's financed in your name, which makes it your asset. And this fraudulent loan application, that's attempted theft. He pulled out another document. I pulled the credit report you authorized me to access. Sarah and James have $17,000 in credit card debt across 4 cards. They have 2 personal loans totaling $23,000. They're behind on both. They owe $4,800 to a furniture store in Phoenix. And they just signed a lease on a house in Scottsdale with monthly rent of $3,200. How can they afford $3,200 a month in rent? They can't. That's why they tried to steal $70,000 from you. They're drowning in debt, Helen. The lifestyle you funded for 6 years, they tried to maintain it after moving, but without your money, they can't. They're going under. Fast. I processed this. They'd moved to escape me, to get away from my hovering. But they'd also moved expecting to somehow maintain the same lifestyle. How? Marcus answered my unspoken question. They were counting on your will. You're 66 and a widow. I think they believed you'd die soon and leave them everything. Or they thought they could pressure you into continuing the monthly payments even from Arizona. When you didn't immediately offer to keep sending money, they panicked, hence the credit card fraud and the loan application. The coldness of it stole my breath. They were waiting for me to die? I can't prove that's what they were thinking. But Helen, Michael told you himself, when you die, we'll have all the money. Sarah told him that. She's been planning for your death like it's a business transaction. I felt sick, physically nauseated. Marcus's voice softened. I'm sorry. I know this is devastating, but you need to know what you're dealing with. Now here's what we're going to do. We have 72 hours, 3 days, to cut off all financial access before they can try something else. Are you ready? I thought about Emma and Michael, my grandchildren. If I did this, I might never see them again. But then I thought about the blanket in the trash. The therapist Sarah claimed said I was narcissistic, the loan fraud, the holes punched in my walls. I'm ready. Okay, here's the plan. Marcus laid out 7 steps, each one surgical and irreversible. Step 1, cancel all automatic transfers immediately. I called my bank right there from Marcus's office at 4:47 p.m. on November 21st. The $3,500 monthly transfer that was scheduled to process on December 1st? Canceled. The representative asked if I was sure. Absolutely certain, I said. My voice didn't shake. Step 2. Remove Sarah as an authorized user on both credit cards. I called while Marcus took notes. Both cards canceled, new ones issued with new numbers that Sarah wouldn't have access to. The representative asked about the disputed $873 charge from Apple. Confirmed fraud, I said. Prosecute to the fullest extent. Step 3. Repossess the vehicle. The 2019 Toyota Highlander financed in my name with 31 payments remaining. Marcus called the finance company. We have a situation where the vehicle is being used by someone other than the account holder without permission. We need to initiate repossession. They had a recovery agent in Phoenix who could pick it up within 72 hours. Cost, $450. Worth every penny. Step 4. Close the joint checking account. This one was trickier. We had to go to the bank in person. Marcus came with me. We arrived at 5:23 p.m., just before closing. The bank manager, a woman named Diane who'd known me for 15 years, looked concerned. Mrs. Henderson, if you close this account and your daughter has the routing number, she might try to make withdrawals that would bounce. That's exactly what I want, I said. I want every attempt she makes to access my money to fail. loudly. Diane closed the account. The balance, $1,100, was transferred to my personal account that Sarah had no access to. Step 5. Revoke business account access. Sarah had emergency access to Henderson & Sons construction accounts. She'd never used it, but she could. Marcus drafted a letter to the bank removing her authorization, hand-delivered at 6:02 p.m. that evening. Step 6. Initiate eviction proceedings for the condo. Even though they'd already moved out, they'd never formally ended the lease agreement we'd had. They were still legally tenants. Marcus filed eviction paperwork citing property damage and abandoned tenancy. This created a legal record of their actions. Step 7. Change my will. This was the big one. We couldn't do it that evening. Proper will changes require witnesses and notarization. But Marcus drafted the new version right there. My entire estate would now go into a trust with Marcus as executor. Sarah would receive nothing directly. Emma and Michael would each receive funds held in trust until age 25, managed by Marcus, to be used for education and basic needs. Sarah couldn't touch a penny. "We'll execute this new will on Friday, November 24th, Marcus said. 3 days from now. I'll bring witnesses. It'll be ironclad." But by 7:30 p.m. on November 21st, I dismantled Sarah's access to my financial life in under 3 hours. "Now," Marcus said, "we wait. They'll notice. Probably when the December 1st payment doesn't show up. Maybe sooner if they try to use those credit cards. When they do, they'll call you. And Helen, you need to be ready for that call." What do I say? You tell them the truth. Their access to your money is over. Their fraud attempt was caught. And if they ever forge your signature or attempt to access your accounts again, you'll press criminal charges. I drove home as the sun set, painting the Charleston sky in shades of orange and pink. Robert used to love sunsets. We'd sit on our porch and watch them together, his hand in mine. I missed him so acutely in that moment that I had to pull over, sat in my car in a grocery store parking lot, and cried. But these weren't the broken tears from before. These were different, cleansing almost, because for the first time in months, maybe years, I'd taken control. I'd stopped being a victim. 60 days, I thought. In 60 days, this would all be resolved. Either Sarah would realize what she'd lost and genuinely apologize, or she'd be completely out of my life. Either way, I'd know. The call came sooner than expected. November 23rd. Thanksgiving Day. I was at Carol Ann's house for dinner. She'd insisted I not spend the holiday alone. 23 people gathered around her dining room table, the smell of turkey and stuffing filling the house, children laughing in the living room. I was helping Carol Ann mash potatoes when my phone rang. Sarah. I stepped onto Carol Ann's back porch, took a breath, answered. "Mom, what the hell did you do?" Her voice was shrill, panicked. "Hello, Sarah. Happy Thanksgiving." "Don't you happy Thanksgiving me. Our credit cards were declined at the grocery store. I just tried to buy food for Thanksgiving dinner and the card was rejected. Do you know how humiliating that was? I removed you as an authorized user on my credit cards. They're my cards, Sarah, not yours." "You can't do that. We need those cards." "No, you don't. You need to use your own money for your own expenses, like adults do." "We don't have money. We just moved. We have expenses." "Then I suggest you figure it out. Get jobs. Make a budget. Live within your means." Silence. Then, "You're really going to do this? On Thanksgiving? You're going to cut us off on Thanksgiving? You moved away without telling me. You destroyed my property. You tried to take out a $70,000 loan in my name. You charged $873 to my credit card without asking. And you threw away your daughter's baby blanket that I made with my own hands. So yes, Sarah, I'm really going to do this. That loan was a mistake. The bank person said you'd already approved it. Don't lie to me. I have the fraud report. The application came from your IP address in Phoenix." Her voice changed, got cold and calculated. "Fine. You want to play it this way? You'll never see your grandchildren again. Emma and Michael? Gone. We'll tell them you abandoned them. That you chose money over family." My heart clenched. But I'd prepared for this. Marcus had coached me. Sarah, I have never chosen money over family. I've given you $500,000 over 6 years. I've showed up for every birthday, every soccer game, every school play. I've cooked Sunday dinners and paid for private schools and loved those children with everything I have. If you want to rewrite that history, go ahead. But someday, Emma and Michael will be adults. They'll ask questions. And I have 6 years of bank statements, photos, cards, and documentation of every single thing I did for them. The truth always comes out. You're bluffing. You won't actually cut us off. You love us too much. I do love you. That's why this hurts so badly. But love doesn't mean letting you commit fraud against me. Love doesn't mean funding your life while you treat me like garbage. I'm done, Sarah. Completely done. Mom, the car is being repossessed within 72 hours. The automatic payments are canceled. Your access to all my accounts is revoked. My will has been changed. You're not inheriting anything. Emma and Michael have trust funds that you can't touch. And if you try anything like that loan fraud again, I will press criminal charges. Are we clear? You wouldn't. I'm your daughter. Try me. I hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped the phone. Carol Ann was standing in the doorway. You did it, she said softly. I did it. How do you feel? Terrified and free, both at the same time. She hugged me. We stood there on her porch while inside, her family celebrated Thanksgiving, and I mourned the death of the daughter I thought I had. The next call came 36 hours later. Saturday, November 25th, at 9:14 a.m. James this time, not Sarah. Helen, we need to talk. Sarah's really upset. I imagine she is. Look, we made some mistakes, okay? We should have told you about the move. That was wrong. But you're overreacting. Cutting us off completely? That's extreme. Is attempting to steal $70,000 extreme, James? That was a misunderstanding. No, it was fraud, and I have the police report to prove it. You filed a police report against your own daughter? His voice was incredulous. I filed a fraud report with my bank, which they forwarded to the police, because what she did was a crime. Jesus Christ, Helen, you're going to destroy this family. I didn't destroy anything, James. You and Sarah did that when you decided to use me as a personal ATM for 6 years and then throw me away when you were done. We didn't throw you away. We just needed space. Space is saying, Mom, we need some boundaries. Space is moving across town, moving 1,200 miles away without warning, destroying my property, blocking my calls to my grandchildren, and committing fraud isn't space, James. It's abandonment and theft. The kids miss you. My breath caught. Then let me talk to them. I can't. Sarah won't allow it. She says you're toxic right now. I'm toxic? I'm not the one who committed fraud. Look, what if we compromise? We'll pay you back for the condo damages. We'll apologize. Just turn the money back on. We're drowning here, Helen. We can't afford the rent. James Jr. needs school supplies. Emma needs new shoes. We're trying, but what? But you can't maintain a lifestyle that costs $100,000 a year on your combined income of $70,000? Join the club, James. That's called reality. Most people live in it. You're really not going to help us? I helped you for 6 years. I gave you $500,000. I gave you every opportunity to succeed, to save money, to build a life. And you spent it all and then tried to steal more. No, James, I'm not going to help you. Not anymore. Then we'll lose the house. We'll be evicted. Then I suggest you find a cheaper place to live. Maybe get second jobs. Maybe sell some of those things I bought you. The PlayStation, the iPhones, the furniture. Sarah's going to lose it when I tell her you won't budge. That's not my problem anymore. He hung up without saying goodbye. 20 days passed. December rolled in cold and gray. I kept waiting for the next call, the next attack, something. But there was silence. Until December 15th at 3:33 p.m. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Grandma, it's Emma. I borrowed a friend's phone. Are you okay? Mom says you're sick and that's why you haven't called. I miss you. My heart exploded. I called the number immediately. Emma answered. Grandma? Baby, I'm here. I'm not sick. I'm perfectly fine. Then why haven't you called? Mom said you were in the hospital. Emma, honey, I've tried to call you dozens of times. My calls go straight to voicemail. I've sent texts. I mailed you cards. Everything gets returned or ignored. What? No, Mom said you didn't want to talk to us anymore, that you were mad at us for moving. The lie was so brazen, it took my breath away. Emma, that is absolutely not true. I've been trying to reach you and your brother every single day. Your mother blocked my number on your phones. Why would she do that? I think you need to ask her that question. Grandma, are you really okay? I'm okay, sweetheart. Are you okay? Not really. We might have to move again. Mom and Dad are fighting about money all the time. Dad's working 2 jobs now. Mom cries a lot. She says it's your fault we're struggling. I closed my eyes. Emma, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear me. I love you. I love your brother. I have never, ever stopped loving you or wanting to be part of your lives. If you want to talk to me, you can call me anytime from any phone. I will always answer. Always. Can I come visit you? I would love that more than anything. But honey, that's something your parents would have to agree to. You're 13. I can't just take you without their permission. They'll never agree. Mom says you're trying to steal us. I'm not trying to steal anyone. I just want to be your grandmother. I have to go. My friend needs her phone back. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, baby. So much. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone and cried. But these tears were different, because I'd heard Emma's voice. She knew the truth now. She knew I hadn't abandoned her. The final confrontation came on December 20th. They showed up at my door, all 4 of them. Sarah, James, Emma, and Michael. They'd driven 15 hours from Phoenix. I saw them through my front window, getting out of an old Honda Civic, not the Highlander. The repo company had gotten it 3 weeks earlier. I opened the door before they could knock. Sarah looked terrible. Thinner, dark circles under her eyes, hair unwashed. James looked exhausted. The kids looked scared. We need to talk, Sarah said. Come in. They filed into my living room. The room where we'd had Sunday dinners, where we'd opened Christmas presents, where Robert had taught Michael to play chess on the floor. Nobody sat down. We're being evicted, Sarah said, without preamble. We have until January 1st to get out. We have nowhere to go. We need help. What kind of help? Money. For first and last month's rent on a new place, just enough to get us on our feet. How much? $12,000. I looked at my grandchildren. Emma was crying silently. Michael was staring at his shoes. No. Sarah's face crumpled. Mom, please, we're desperate. The kids will be homeless. You won't be homeless. You'll be inconvenienced. There's a difference. You can move to a cheaper place. You can get roommates. You can move in with James's family in Colombia. You have options. They're just not the options you want. I'm begging you. And I'm saying no, because giving you $12,000 doesn't solve your problem. It just delays it. You'll spend it, be in the same situation in 6 months, and come begging again. I know because that's what's been happening for 6 years. James stepped forward. We'll sign something, a contract. We'll pay you back. With what money? You can't afford your current rent. You're behind on multiple loans. You have no savings. James, you're working 2 jobs and still drowning. Giving you more money is like giving alcohol to an alcoholic. It doesn't help. So what? You're just going to let your grandchildren suffer? Sarah's voice was rising. No, I'm going to offer you something else. I pulled out the folder Marcus and I had prepared. This is a lease agreement for a 2-bedroom apartment in North Charleston. Rent is $950 a month. I've paid for 6 months, that's $5,700. It's yours rent-free until June 30th. Sarah grabbed the folder. North Charleston? That's a terrible area. It's a safe area. Not fancy, but safe. The apartment is clean and functional. There's a good public school nearby for the kids. We can't live there. We can't. Then don't. But that's my offer. 6 months of rent-free living in a modest apartment. Enough time for you to save money, get on your feet for real. In exchange, I want 3 things. What? 1. You and James both get full-time jobs and keep them. 2. You complete a financial counseling program. I've already paid for 6 months with a certified counselor. And 3, I get to see Emma and Michael every other Sunday. Here, at my house. 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Supervised visits. Supervised? Like we're criminals? Like you're people who violated my trust repeatedly and need to earn it back. Sarah looked at James. James looked at the kids. Emma was crying harder now. Michael looked up at me with his big brown eyes, Robert's eyes. Grandma, I just want things to go back to normal, Michael said softly. Baby, I do too. But normal wasn't actually normal. Normal was your parents taking advantage of me while teaching you that was okay. We're going to build a new normal, one based on respect and honesty. Sarah crumpled the lease agreement. This is controlling. This is manipulation. No, this is consequences. You tried to steal from me. You destroyed my property. You cut me out of your lives after years of support. This is me offering you one more chance, my final offer, to rebuild our relationship on honest terms. Take it or leave it. They left, walked out of my house and drove away in that old Honda Civic. I watched them go from my porch, watched until the taillights disappeared. Carol Ann called 10 minutes later. Did they come? They came. They left. They said no. Oh, Helen. It's okay. I knew they would. They're not ready to change. Maybe they never will be. What about the kids? I lost this battle, Carol Ann. But the war isn't over. Those kids will be adults someday. And when they are, I'll still be here. I'll still have the truth. I'll still have the bank statements and the documentation and the evidence of what really happened. Sarah can tell them I'm the villain for now, but eventually they'll see. You're so strong. No, I'm just finally done being weak. 3 days later, December 23rd, I got a text from the number Emma had used before. They took the apartment. We're moving next week. Mom's really mad, but Dad said we didn't have a choice. Can I still see you on Sundays? I texted back immediately. Yes, baby. Every other Sunday at 1 p.m. I'll be here. She sent back a heart emoji. It wasn't everything. It wasn't perfect. But it was something. And sometimes, something is enough to build on. They moved into that North Charleston apartment on January 3rd, 2024. I didn't help them move, didn't offer, didn't show up. Marcus advised me to maintain boundaries, and for once, I listened. The first Sunday visit was January 14th at 1 p.m. sharp. I'd spent the entire week preparing, cleaned the house top to bottom, made chocolate chip cookies, Michael's favorite, set out photo albums on the coffee table, prepared Emma's favorite meal, homemade lasagna with garlic bread. The doorbell rang at 1:07 p.m. Sarah and James brought the kids, but didn't come in, just dropped them at the door like it was a transaction. 6 p.m., Sarah said flatly. Not a minute later. I'll have them ready. Those 5 hours were awkward at first. Emma and Michael were quiet, uncertain, like they were visiting a stranger. I didn't push, just let them exist in the space. We ate lasagna, looked through old photo albums. I showed them pictures of their mom as a little girl, of their grandfather Robert teaching Sarah to ride a bike. Mom never talks about Grandpa, Michael said. Well, he loved you both very much. He died before you could really remember him, but he was so proud to be your grandfather. We played board games, watched a movie. At 5:30, I packed them each a container of cookies to take home. Can we come back in 2 weeks? Emma asked. I'll be here. I'll always be here. That pattern continued. Every other Sunday. Some visits were easier than others. Sometimes the kids were talkative and warm. Sometimes they were withdrawn, clearly caught between loyalty to their parents and their love for me. I never asked them to choose, never spoke badly about Sarah or James, just loved them consistently and showed up. March came. Sarah called me, the first time she'd initiated contact since December. The financial counselor you're making us see says we need to sell the PlayStation and Emma's iPhone to pay down debt. Okay. That's it? Just okay? Sarah, the counselor is helping you learn to manage money. If that's what she recommends, that's between you and her. The kids are going to hate this. Maybe, but they'll survive. Millions of kids don't have PlayStations and brand new iPhones, and they turn out fine. She hung up without saying goodbye. But she sold the items. I know, because Emma told me the next Sunday. I'm mad at you, Emma said. Mom says it's your fault I had to give up my phone. I understand why you feel that way. Do you want to talk about it? You're making us poor. No, sweetheart. I'm not giving your parents money they didn't earn. There's a difference. But I know it doesn't feel that way to you right now. Will it always be like this? Like what? Hard, confusing, feeling like I have to choose between you and Mom. I took her hands. Emma, you never have to choose. I love you. Your mom loves you. Those two things can both be true. And yes, things are hard right now, but hard doesn't mean bad. Sometimes hard means growing, and growing hurts. She cried. I held her. And slowly, over the weeks and months, something shifted. By June 2024, 6 months after they'd moved into that apartment, real changes had happened. James got promoted at his job, better pay, better hours. Sarah got a job as a receptionist at a dental office. The financial counselor helped them create a budget and stick to it. They moved into a slightly nicer apartment in July, one they could actually afford on their combined income. $1,100 a month for a 3-bedroom in a decent area. The Sunday visits became less tense. Sarah started coming in for a few minutes when she dropped off the kids, making small talk. Once in August, she even accepted my offer of coffee. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where we'd had so many Sunday dinners, and just talked about nothing important. The weather, Emma's school, Michael's new interest in basketball. As she was leaving, she paused at the door. Mom, the therapist I'm seeing says I need to take accountability for what I did. So, I'm sorry. For the fraud attempt. For the condo. For everything. It wasn't much. It wasn't a full accounting of the pain she'd caused. But it was something. Thank you for saying that. I'm still angry at you sometimes. For cutting us off. I know. And I'm still hurt by what you did. We're both allowed to have those feelings. She nodded and left. Today, November 21st, 2025, exactly 2 years after the day Marcus and I went to war, here's where we stand. Sarah and James are still married, still working, still living within their means. They're not wealthy, but they're stable. They pay their own rent, their own bills, their own way. They visit me once a month now, the whole family, for Sunday dinner. It's not every week like it used to be, but it's honest, real. Emma is 15 now, thriving in public school on the volleyball team. She texts me a few times a week, calls me when she needs advice about boys or friends or life. She's starting to understand what happened, asking questions, forming her own opinions. Michael is 12, still obsessed with basketball, still has Robert's eyes and gentle spirit. He stays with me some weekends and we cook together. I'm teaching him all of Robert's recipes. My relationship with Sarah will never be what it was. Too much damage, too much betrayal. But it's become something different, something based on mutual respect instead of financial dependence. We're rebuilding, slowly, with clear boundaries and honest communication. I changed my will back partially. Emma and Michael's trust funds remain, but Sarah will inherit some assets when I die. Not everything, not control of the business, but enough that she'll be okay. Because despite everything, she's still my daughter. The condo was repaired and rented out. The $4,600 in damages came out of the security deposit they'd never actually paid, so I absorbed that cost. Consider it tuition in the School of Hard Lessons. Marcus retired last year but still checks in on me monthly. Carol Ann remains my best friend and fiercest defender. The business is thriving. I hired a new operations manager and we landed a $2 million contract to build a new medical complex. I'm 68 years old now, healthy, active, running a successful business, enjoying my grandchildren, living life on my terms. And I've learned some things I want to share with you because if you've watched this far, maybe you're going through something similar. Maybe someone you love is using you. Maybe you're the ATM with a pulse in someone else's life. Here's what I learned. First, love without boundaries isn't love. It's enabling. I thought I was helping Sarah by giving her everything. I wasn't. I was teaching her that she didn't have to work for anything, that mom would always bail her out, that actions didn't have consequences. Real love sometimes means saying no. It means letting people struggle so they can grow strong. Second, you can't buy relationships. I gave Sarah $500,000 and it didn't make her love me more. It made her entitled, resentful, dependent in ways that poisoned our relationship. The people who truly love you will love you whether you have money or not. Everyone else is just using you. Third, financial abuse is real abuse. What Sarah did wasn't just being a bad daughter. It was fraud. It was theft. It was abuse. And like all abuse, it escalated over time. It started with small disrespects and ended with attempting to steal $70,000. If someone in your life is using your money against you, controlling you through financial dependence, or committing fraud, that's abuse. Name it. Stop it. Fourth, it's never too late to set boundaries. I was 66 when I finally said enough. I thought I was too old, that it was too late to change the dynamic. I was wrong. You are never too old or too far into a relationship to start requiring respect. Never. Fifth, document everything. Bank statements, emails, texts, repair bills. I had documentation of everything I gave Sarah and everything she did. That documentation protected me legally and gave me clarity when she tried to rewrite history. If someone is using you, keep records. You might need them. Sixth, seek professional help. Marcus, my attorney, saved me. The financial counselor saved Sarah and James. None of us could have navigated this alone. If you're in a toxic situation with family, get a lawyer, a therapist, a financial advisor, someone objective who can see clearly when you can't. Seventh, protect yourself first. I know that sounds selfish, but you can't pour from an empty cup. If someone is draining you dry, emotionally, financially, spiritually, you have to save yourself before you can help anyone else. Putting on your own oxygen mask first isn't selfish. It's survival. And finally, forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I've forgiven Sarah. I've let go of the anger because holding on to it was poisoning me. But forgiveness doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen or going back to how things were. We have a new relationship now, built on new terms. Forgiveness and boundaries can coexist. If you're in a situation where someone you love is using you, ask yourself these questions. Do they only contact you when they need something? Do they show genuine gratitude or just entitlement? Are they willing to change their behavior, or do they just want you to change your response? If you stopped giving, would they still be in your life? Those answers will tell you everything you need to know. I miss the daughter I thought I had. The one who loved me unconditionally, who valued family over money, who would never throw her mother away. But that daughter may have never existed. Maybe I created her in my mind, saw what I wanted to see, ignored the warning signs because acknowledging them was too painful. The daughter I have now is complicated, flawed, still learning, but she's real. And real, as painful as it sometimes is better than the fantasy I was clinging to. To everyone watching this, you are not alone. If you've been betrayed by family, if you've been used for your money, if you've given everything only to be discarded, I see you. Your pain is valid, your anger is justified, and your decision to protect yourself is brave, not selfish. Set the boundaries. Cut the financial ties if you need to. Protect your assets. Protect your heart. And know that on the other side of this pain is freedom. It took me 66 years to find it, but I found it. You can too. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone in your life needs to hear this. Someone is being used right now and doesn't know they have the power to stop it. Leave a comment telling me your story. You don't have to use names. Just share what you're going through. This community can support each other. And if you're one of my grandchildren watching this years from now, Emma, Michael, or whoever comes after, know this. I fought for our relationship. I set boundaries because I loved you enough to show you what healthy relationships look like. I refused to let your parents teach you that using people is okay. And I'm still here. I'll always be here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And remember, you deserve respect. You deserve honesty. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not what you can provide. Now go set those boundaries. Your future self will thank you.